This video is not about perfect English. It's not about sounding native, and it's definitely not about becoming someone you're not. This is calm, practical, honest guide for you who already know English, but don't always feel confident using it, especially at work. And if you've ever thought, I know what I want to say, but I can't say it the way that I want to, then you're in the right place. Let me be honest with you. I didn't always feel confident speaking English. There were meetings where I stayed quiet, not because I had nothing to say, but because it took too much energy to say it in English. There were moments when I felt smart in Swedish and suddenly much less sharp in English. And if that's something you recognize, I want you to hear this. You are not alone. Hi, I'm Karin. I'm a communication strategist from Sweden, and I've worked for many years in international environments, leading meetings, holding presentations, and communicating in English as my second language. Everything I share in this video comes from experience and tips that I've picked up along the way. From getting it wrong, from feeling awkward, from slowly figuring out what actually helps. This video is a complete guide. You don't have to watch it all at once. You can pause, you can come back later, but if you stay with me until the end, you'll have a clear framework you can use in meetings, presentations, and everyday work conversations. So let's begin. Part 1. Why English feels harder at work. Let's start here, because this part is important. From what I've seen, many people think their problem is English vocabulary, grammar, accent. But very often, that's not the real issue. The real issue is load. When you speak your first language, your brain does a lot automatically. When you speak a second language, your brain works harder. Even if your English is good, you are translating, filtering, and monitoring yourself all about the same time. And that takes energy. So if you feel more tired, slower, or quieter in English, that's not a personality flaw. That's cognitive load. And then we add work on top of that. Meetings, deadlines, power dynamics, people interrupting, people speaking fast. Of course it feels harder. Here's something I want you to stop doing. Stop comparing yourself to other people. You hear fluent English and think they're confident. But confidence is not about speed. It's about clarity. And clarity is a skill, not a personality trait. Let's talk about accent for a moment. I have an accent in Swedish, always have and probably always will. It used to bother me a lot, but now I know it's just a part of who I am. Your accent is not the problem. I'll say that again. Your accent is not the problem. Unclear structure is a problem. Low volume is a problem. Apologizing for speaking is a problem. But accent just means you learned more than one language. And that's a strength, a big one. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this. You don't need better English. You need better conditions to use the English you already have. And that's what the rest of this guide is about. Part number 2. Confidence comes from structure. Here's something that changed everything for me. Confidence does not come first. Structure comes first. When you know how to start, where you're going, and how to end, your confidence follows. Think about the moments you feel most insecure in English. For me, it's usually when I don't know when to speak, I don't know how to start, my thoughts feel messy, and that's not an English problem. That's a structure problem. Let me give you a very simple model I've used for many years. And honestly, I can't remember exactly where I got it from, so I call it say what it's about, say the point, and say why it matters. That's it. For example, from my perspective, this is about timing. The main issue is that deadline is too tight, and that matters because it affects quality. Slow, clear, and calm. Same English and a very different impact. Buy yourself time. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to think, and you are allowed to say, let me think for a moment. I'd like to structure my thoughts. Can I come back to that? These sentences are not weaknesses. They are leadership language. A few years ago, I had an important presentation for my manager. I had prepared the content very well. But when the meeting started, I rushed. I spoke faster than usual. I tried to explain everything at once. And because English wasn't my first language, my brain was working overtime. I remember thinking, just get it out. But the more I rushed, the less clear I sounded. Afterwards, my manager said, it was interesting, but I had a hard time following your main point. And that was frustrating because the idea itself was strong. Sometime later, I had a similar situation. Another important meeting, another senior manager. This time, I did one thing differently. I allowed myself to pause. I started with, the main point I want to share is this. Then I paused. Just one breath. I spoke slower. I let sentences end. And when I needed a second to think, I took it. The reaction was completely different. People nodded and no one interrupted. And afterwards, I heard, that was very clear. Same person, same English, same level of experience. The difference wasn't confidence. It was pacing. That's when I realized rushing doesn't make you sound more competent. It makes you sound less clear. Pausing isn't a hesitation, it's leadership. Part number 3, meetings. How to take space calmly. Let's talk about meetings. Meetings are hard, even in your first language. In English, they can feel brutal. Here are 3 things that help. Number 1, decide how you will participate. Before the meeting, decide, will I speak? Will I ask one question? Or will I add one comment? Or will I write in the chat? You don't need to say everything. You just need one entry point. Number 2, use simple entry sentences. Prepare one sentence you know you can say. For example, I'd like to add something here from my side, or can I share a quick thought? Knowing that sentence is there reduces pressure more than you think. And number 3, don't fight for space. Claim it. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to interrupt aggressively. You can say, let me finish this thought. I'm not done yet. Calm, clear, and firm. There was a period when most of my work was on Teams. One meeting in particular stands out. It was a fairly large meeting. Most cameras were off, and people spoke quickly and often interrupted each other. I remember sitting there listening carefully, translating in my head, trying to find the right moment to speak. I had a clear thought, but every time I felt ready, the conversation had already moved on. At the same time, I could see myself on the screen, my face, my reactions. I became very aware of how I looked and how I sounded. And suddenly, my English felt worse than usual. Not because I knew less, but because my attention was split everywhere. What helped? After that meeting, I changed a few small things. First, I hid my self-view. That one change helped me stay in the conversation instead of watching myself. Second, before the meeting, I prepared one sentence I knew I could say. I like to add something. Just knowing I had that sentence ready made a difference. And third, when I finally spoke, I didn't rush. I allowed myself a short pause before starting. The meeting didn't magically become perfect, but I felt more grounded, more present, and more confident in my English. Same meeting format, same language, different experience. That's what I've learned about online meetings. They don't require more confidence. They require more structure and a bit of kindness towards yourself. If you're still watching, you're doing something important for yourself. In the next part of this guide, we'll talk about presentations and how to stop sounding unsure without changing who you are. Part 4, presentations. How to sound confident without performing. Let's talk about presentations. Because for many people, this is where English confidence really drops. Not because you don't know your topic, but because suddenly all eyes are on you. And when English isn't your first language, that pressure multiplies. Here's the first thing I want you to say. A confident presentation is not a performance. It's a guided conversation. Even if you're the only one speaking. The biggest mistake I see, many non-native speakers try to sound impressive, use advanced words, speak faster than feels natural, because they think that's what confidence looks like. But that often creates the opposite effect. Your brain gets overloaded. Your voice tightens, and your message gets blurry. Confidence does not come from complexity. It comes from orientation. Letting people know who you are, why you're there, and where you're taking them. I want to give you a structure you can use in almost any presentation. It's very simple. Start, middle, end. But we'll make it practical. Start by grounding yourself and the room. The beginning is the most important part. Not because it has to be perfect, but because you need to land. Here's what I recommend. Memorize your first 2 sentences, not the whole presentation, just the start. For example, hi everyone. Today I want to talk about how we can improve our onboarding process. Or, thanks for being here. I'd like to walk you through the key findings from our last project. When you know how you'll start, your body relaxes. And when your body relaxes, your English sounds better. Important. Never start with, I'm a bit nervous, I'll try my best. This might not be very good. That doesn't make you relatable. It makes you smaller. You're allowed to take space, one idea at a time. In the middle of the presentation, your only job is clarity. One idea, then the next one. Use structured phrases. The first point is, what this means is, so the key takeaway is. These phrases are not boring. They are kind to your listener and to your brain, and signal clearly that you're done. Many non-native speakers fade out at the end. Their voice drops. Their message dissolves. Instead, signal the ending clearly. For example, to summarize, or the main takeaway is, or so what I recommend is, and then stop. Silence is not awkward, it's confident. I want to share a moment that still stays with me. A few years ago, I was asked to give a presentation to about 30 people, all of them working in communication. And if you work in communication, you know, speaking to communicators is, well, a special kind of pressure. I knew my topic well. This was my field, but that didn't remove the nerves. I'm introverted by nature, and I don't enjoy having all eyes on me. And talking to people who do this for a living made me very aware of myself. How I sounded, how I looked, how I was being perceived. Before the presentation, my focus was entirely on performance. Will I sound confident enough? Will they think this is too basic? Will I lose my words? And that pressure made everything harder. What changed things for me wasn't being braver or trying to be more extroverted. It was structure. Instead of thinking, how do I come across? I shifted to, what is the one idea I want to leave them with? I structured the presentation very clearly. I started with the main point, then I built it in a few simple steps, and I ended by landing it calmly and clearly. That structure gave me something to hold on to. It took the spotlight off of me and placed it on the message. And something interesting happened. When I stopped performing and started guiding, my nerves settled and my voice slowed down, and the room followed me. That presentation taught me something important. Confidence doesn't come from enjoying attention. It comes from knowing where you're going and taking others there with you. Part 5. Stop sounding unsure without changing your personality. Let's talk about something subtle but powerful. Sounding unsure. Because many people tell me, I feel confident inside, but I don't sound confident in English. This is often about language habits, not ability. Habit number 1, over-softening in English. We often soften more than we need to. For example, I just wanted to say, or I'm not sure, but maybe, or this might be a stupid question. Try removing the apology. Instead of, I just wanted to say we should change the timeline, say, I think we should change the timeline. Same idea, very different impact. Habit number 2, ending sentences like questions. This is very common. Your sentence goes down and then up. Even when it's not a question, it sounds like this. Hi, Today I'm holding a presentation about speaking confidently in English. Speaking like that makes your message sound uncertain, even if it's strong. Try this instead. Finish your sentence by dropping your tone at the end. Let the sentence land. Habit number 3. Filling silence. Silence feels scary in English. So we fill it with, like, instead of filling, try pausing. Pauses make you sound thoughtful, calm, and confident, even if it feels long to you. It rarely feels long to others. Here's something important. You don't need to speak more confidently. You need to remove what weakens your message. And that's often easier. There's a sentence I used to say a lot when I had an idea, especially in meetings. I would say something like, maybe this is not a very good idea, but I was thinking that we could possibly. It sounded polite, it sounded careful, but it also made my idea sound optional, even when it wasn't. What I didn't realize back then was that I was softening my message before anyone had a chance to hear it. I was protecting myself, not the idea. Today, I say the same idea very differently. Now I say, I have an idea I'd like to share. Or, I think this is worth considering. Same idea, same person, but a completely different signal. The shift wasn't about being louder or more dominant. It was about owning my thought without apologizing. And interestingly, people started listening more. Not because the idea changed, but because the way I introduced it. Part number 6. Online meetings. Confidence on Teams and Zoom. Let's talk about online meetings, because English often feels harder there. You see yourself, you don't see reactions, turn-taking is unclear, your brain works overtime. Here are a few things that genuinely help. Decide your role before the meeting. Ask yourself, am I here to listen, add one comment, make a decision, present something? You don't need to do everything. Clarity reduces pressure. Number 2, hide your self-view. This changed everything for me. When you stop watching yourself, you become more present. You listen better. You speak more naturally. Try it. Number 3, prepare one sentence. Just one sentence you can say. For example, I'd like to add something, or from my perspective, or can I jump in? Knowing it's there often makes it easier to speak. So far, we've talked about why English feels hard at work, how structure creates confidence, presentations, meetings, and subtle habits that weaken your message. In the final part of this guide, we'll talk about thinking in English, what to do if you understand but freeze, and how confidence actually grows over time. You're doing well. Part number 7. I understand English, but I can't speak. Let's talk about something many people don't say out loud. I understand everything, but when I try to speak, nothing comes out. If that sounds like you, I want you to hear this. This is not a language problem. It's a processing problem. When English isn't your first language, your brain often does this: thinking, translating, editing, and then speaking. That's a lot of steps. And under pressure, in meetings, presentations, or interviews, your brain freezes. Not because you don't know English, but because it's doing too much at once. What helped me was changing how I practiced. Not more vocabulary, not more grammar, but thinking in simple English. Try this exercise. Reduce the distance between thought and speech, and try this regularly, especially alone. Instead of thinking in your native language first, force yourself to stay in English. Very simple English. For example, I'm tired. I need coffee. This meeting is long. It sounds basic, and it is, but that's the point. Fluency starts with directness, not complexity. Another important shift. Stop waiting until your thought is perfect. Clarity beats cleverness. You're allowed to say, I need a second to think, or let me explain this step by step, or I'm not sure how to phrase this yet. Those are not weaknesses, they are leadership phrases. I remember a very specific moment from my early career. I had just started a new job. I'd been there for about a month. The company language was English, and I was still trying to find my place. We were in a small department meeting, just 5 people, and the meeting leader said, let's go around the table and share what we're working on. That moment hit me harder than I expected. I knew my job, I had thoughts, but as the person before me started speaking, my brain went completely blank. Not because I didn't understand English, but because I was trying to translate, structure, and perform at the same time. When it was my turn, I froze. I smiled. I said something short and vague, and then I stopped. After the meeting, I remembered thinking, why did that feel so hard? Why do I sound so much smarter in my own language? What I wish I had known back then is this. Freezing isn't a lack of competence. It's cognitive overload. I didn't need better English. I needed one prepared sentence, one clear starting point. If I had known that, I would have walked into that meeting with something simple like, right now, my main focus is, or I'm currently working on. That would have been enough. Not perfect, just enough to get started. Because once you start, your brain catches up. Part number 8. Stop translating and start structuring. One of the biggest confidence shifts is stop translating full sentences. Start structuring ideas instead. When you structure, your brain feels safe. And here's a simple structure you can use anywhere. The point, the reason, and the result. For example, the main issue is timing. We're launching too close to the deadline, and that increases risk. Simple, clear, and confident. You don't need advanced English. You need direction. Your listener doesn't care if your sentence is elegant. They care if they can follow you. Helpful structure phrases to keep close. Save these. Use them. The main point is, what this means is, there are 2 reasons, so the result is. These phrases are like handrails. They support you when things feel shaky. Part number 9. Confidence is built quietly. Let me say something important. Confidence in English does not arrive in one moment. It grows quietly, often without you noticing. You don't wake up one day thinking, now I'm confident. Instead, you notice things like you speak without rehearsing as much, you interrupt politely without panic, you recover faster when you make mistakes, and you stop apologizing for your English. That's progress, even if it doesn't feel dramatic. A mindset that changed everything for me. I stopped asking, do I sound good? And started asking, am I clear? That shift removes pressure, and clarity creates confidence. Your accent is not a flaw. It's information. It tells people, I speak more than one language. You don't need to erase it. You need to own your message. For a long time, I thought my accent was something I needed to fix. Every time I spoke English, I could hear it. My Swedish accent. Before anyone else said anything, I noticed it. I tried to speak faster. I avoided certain words. Sometimes I stayed quiet instead of risking sounding too Swedish. Back then, my goal was to sound native, or at least less like myself. But something slowly shifted over the years. The more I worked internationally, the more I realized almost everyone had an accent. No one sounded the same, and no one apologized for it. And I noticed something else. The people who were easiest to listen to weren't the ones with the best English. They were the ones who spoke calmly, clearly, without hiding. And that's when my relationship with my accent changed. I stopped trying to remove it. Not because I learned to love it, but because I understood what it actually represents. My accent tells a story. It tells people I've learned another language, that I've worked across cultures, that I've stepped into rooms where English wasn't my first language, and spoken anyway. Today, I don't want to change my accent. It's part of how I sound when I'm being myself. And when I focus on clarity instead of correction, my English doesn't sound weaker. It sounds more confident. Part number 10. How to keep building confidence. Let's be practical. Here's how confidence grows long term. Number 1, choose one situation to focus on. Not all English, just one situation. For example, meetings, presentations, introductions, interviews. Clarity comes faster when your focus is narrow. Number 2, prepare less, but smarter. Don't script everything. Prepare your opening, one key sentence, your structure, then trust yourself. Number 3, reflect, don't judge. After speaking English, ask, what worked? What felt easier than before? Not, what went wrong? That question kills confidence. If you watched the entire guide, I want to say something to you. You are not bad at English. You are not slow. You are not less professional. You are doing something demanding, thinking, working, and expressing yourself in a second language, and that requires courage. Confidence does not come from sounding like a native speaker. It comes from clarity, structure, self-trust, and those are skills. You can build them. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, starting out in international work, I would say this: take up space. Speak before you feel ready, and don't confuse discomfort with incompetence. If you want more support, I've created simple guides you can use before meetings, presentations, or interviews. You'll find them linked below. And if this guide helped you, let me know in the comments. What part of speaking English feels hardest for you right now? You're not alone, and you're doing better than you think.